Welcome back everyone for another week of Noudle Sound videos. It is the week of the results of the Noudle Sound competition winner. I actually announced the results over on my Instagram, but today is the official video. A lucky winner has had the chance now to win a free mix mixed by me for their track, and this lucky winner is Henny. So woo, well done Henny. You have won the competition and you are about to get your song mixed by me. Her song is called Nasty. I loved it. I thought it sounded great and amazing. Such a cool vibe as well. So let's just jump straight into it and I'll show you how I get on with the mix. I've got the stems here, got the main stems and the vocal stems, and I'm gonna actually open a new Pro Tools session. You can even press Command N or just go to File, Create New, and I'm just gonna name it Importing Stems. You just press Command Shift and I into Command A, add, and create new tracks for all of them. So the main thing you really want to do when you're starting off your mix is just organize your session. I can see there's quite a lot of stems here, there's a lot of channels. This is now my mix window. I'm going to go through all these stems, group them together into vocals, like drums, for example, effects, and color coordinate them. And also I'm going to create a master fader. Cool. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into that now. Okay, great. So now I've organized it. I just sort of jumped ahead a little bit and reorganized everything. So we've got your basic kick, main kick, snare, claps, tops, and other bits as well. We've got bass that I usually do in green, and I usually do most of the drums in red. And also a great way of doing this and organizing your tracks allows you to actually listen to the whole song and work out all the individual stems and actually have a proper listen to them. So for example, if we go in, there's our kick. So we've got 2 kicks going here. Got some claps, some that I've already panned, some really cool tops. Some of these bits here, I've got some bass lines. I mean, usually how I approach a song is I will try and just sort of mix the drums first, just to make sure I know that they're punchy and they're weighty. Just taking off some bottom end of the kick and taking off some of the top, just because we need to allow room for the actual bass to come through, and if there's too many subby frequencies happening, that's where some of the mix can get quite muddy, and that's why a lot of people have issues with mixing sub bass or just bass in general with the kick. So I'm going to create a stereo aux input. That's gonna then go towards the end, and I'm gonna rename that drums, just so that I also have all the drums here and they're all being sent to this one place, and then I'm able to sort of control them with this fader. Why I want to do that is in case I want to do any sort of like parallel compression. So yeah, I'm gonna bust these out here's the trick, guys. So you want to hold Option and Shift whilst you do this, so it does it to all the selected channels. Cool, and I'm going to press play and we're going to see it here. The reason why we can't hear anything is because they're all being sent to this bus. However, I have all these soloed and I don't have this channel soloed. So to make sure that I don't have to keep pressing solo every time I solo all the other drums, you hold Command and you press solo, and that's called a solo safe. And so yeah, what I'm going to do with this is, because there's so much to do and I'm trying to squish it all into a little video on YouTube, I'm going to show you the main sections and then I'm going to do chunks in between, and then I'll sort of bring you in on the main sections that I've changed. I've just created the bus for the drums. I'm going to do the same for the bass. I'm coming back with you now and I've made quite a few changes. I've compressed the kick drums just slightly, also added a gate on there, just really tighten those kicks up. Added the SPL transient designer because that really allows for those frequencies to come through. Let's listen to it in the mix. So those really shine through a lot more now. I've also gone in and just adjusted some of these drum levels over here just to make sure that some of the claps were a little bit too loud, so I've lowered them. This open hat was a bit quiet before, so just things like that. A side chain from the bass to the kick. So I sent all these bass stems into an overall bass subgroup, and then I ended up sending the sidechain to bus 5 because that was the available bus I had, and then I sent that from the kick. So what I'm going to do later whilst I'm mixing the song, I'll adjust the sidechain on that. I guess for now you can have a listen and hear how much is actually sidechaining. That's obviously with no sidechain. Bring these up to unity. You can hear straight away how just with the sidechain it gives both the kick and bass a lot more excitement. So one thing that I should also mention is for a mix, when you send it off for master, they expect it to be at -6 dB. Right now this track is hitting very loud. It's way over 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring everything down. I'm selecting the groups on the left here. I've also made groups for like drums, kick, so that when I want to do things to all the channels or specific channels, it's easy to do if I just select the group. And then I'll just pop the master back up to 0 because we always want things at unity. Cool, so I'll leave it at that for now. I mean, it's still obviously hitting higher than -6. I'm just getting a rough thing with the faders because how to get it to that sort of level is where you then go with the mixing and how you adjust certain plugins. Like EQ can also make a big difference in loudness depending on what you boost and what you cut away. Things like compression, limiting. So yeah, these are things that you can do throughout the mix to then try to get it average around -6 dB. I've really panned a couple things here in the session. For example, I've moved the kicks to the middle because these stems were bounced out as stereo. You always want your kick in the middle just so that you keep it mono. Most club systems are all mono, so you want to keep your bass mono as well, so I'll get to that later. So let's have a listen to this effects 3, which I've slightly panned to the left. Just little things like that can give the track a bit more depth, and I'm gonna go into a few more of these effects and pan them different ways as well. But some of the effects that I've listened to on, for example, effects 5 have multiple different things. They're not just all vocals, they're not all just effects. So for example, we've got that, and then we've got on the same channel. So that's why it's not just like listen to one thing on that channel and then pan it. You want to listen to the whole channel and pan it accordingly throughout the track. So what I'm going to do now is just actually A and B my track to the instrumental that was sent originally. I'm going to loop a section here, I think.
Nasty music.
Let's have a listen to where we are at so far with our mix.
Nasty music.
So yeah, there's a few things that have already been brightened, especially because of the SPL transient designer that we used before. I've still got a few things. You can see there's a few channels that still need to be looked at, and also the effects as well, but we can definitely hear there's a difference and things are becoming more clear and there's a lot more clarity within the mix. So now that I have made a few changes to the drums, I've added a bit of parallel compression here, also compressed some of the drums and added EQ. What I'm gonna actually do is go through the rest of the track now, play everything together with what I've done, sort of tweak things along the way. So yeah, let's get into that. It's important as well to make sure that you take breaks and you come back to your track, because your ears get tired after, I don't know, about an hour or maybe even less. And I usually do the mixes over 1 to 2 days so that I can have a listen to it on fresh ears. But tonight I might send this version off to Henny just because I think we're getting to a good place with it. And I also like to know the opinion of the producer as well and if I'm going in the right direction. I'll catch up with you guys more towards the end of today. I just added an SSL E-channel strip to master fader, and I've just added some EQ just because I felt like the mix itself was a little bit flat and I wanted to give it a bit more excitement. I boosted, I think this is around 9, almost 10K. I boosted probably around 1.5K. That's it. Let's have a listen to what it sounds without. Now let's listen to what it sounds like with. So yeah, I feel like maybe tomorrow I might feel different about that, but right now I feel like that's the right thing to do. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look at this vocal stem because I feel like the processing that was done on it already is a little bit flat. Let's have a listen to it.
I was listening to the radio one day, and I heard this song.
Yeah, I was also sent a dry stem as well, so I'm going to do like an A and B thing. I just want to see what it's going to be like to have the dry and then add my own effects and add my own EQ on it and just see if I can make it sound a bit more exciting. Don't forget this is dry now.
I was listening to the radio one day, and I heard this song.
He's got a great voice, but it's obviously too low compared to the original. The original had like more of a telephone EQ style, lots more reverb and stuff. I'm gonna do this off camera because it's gonna take quite a bit of time to just work out and tweak, and then I'll jump back into it and show you what I did. I'm comparing the old vocals to the new vocals that were recorded. So you can hear that there's a bit of bass, but it's also got like a telephone kind of EQ over the top. I started doing it with just one vocal channel, and I just decided that I wanted to have 2 of the same vocal channels but have one more of the low frequencies and one more of the high frequencies, just to kind of get that equal balance between the original. So this is what I've now turned out with.
We was psychedelic out of our mind. Out of our mind.
So this is what I did for high. That's more of the telephone.
It was like nasty and then crazy and then psychedelic.
So this is obviously really muffled, but with the 2 together now.
We was psychedelic out of our mind.
It's got that balance that we needed for it to kind of sound like the original.
We was psychedelic out of our mind.
You can hear in his voice that he's still got that kind of low end. So what I'm going to do now is send these to a reverb, but because I've got 2 channels, it would just be easier if I create a subgroup, send them to the subgroup, and then send the subgroup to the reverb. And also solo save, remember, because these are now soloed, so...
We was psychedelic out of our mind.
These are now coming out through the sub. I've already set up a reverb bus here with a reverb plugin, and I'm now going to send this to the input, which is 9 and 10 of the reverb, and adjust accordingly.
We was psychedelic out of our mind.
Obviously that's very
out
intense.
Of our mind. Out of our mind. I heard this song.
Let's compare with the original.
We was psychedelic out of our mind.
a lot shorter reverb than the one that we've got. I'm gonna work on this and alter the length of the actual reverb and try and shorten it down to match the original and show you what I end up working with. So I think I've been working on this now for a good 4 or 5 hours straight. I usually make changes the next day, I come back and listen to it. So for now, the amount of time I've been working on it, I really feel like I need to have a break, sleep on it, listen to it tomorrow. Then I'll be able to send it to Henny and just double check that she likes the path that it's going down. If she has any changes, then I can make those tomorrow as well. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna sleep on it tomorrow and get back to you guys then. See you guys tomorrow. Hey, so here we are, it's the second day and I think this will probably be the last day of mixing. I actually sent it off to Henny last night and she just sent me a couple things to change and she really likes the direction it's going in. But also just before I sent it to her, I did make a couple more changes off camera. So I actually basically made everything mono below 200 hertz because this is really what you should be doing on your bass and on your kick. As I mentioned before, that in some clubs, actually most clubs, they have mono systems. So you want to make sure those things are always mono. So like whatever points you're in the room and in the venue, you'll be able to hear those. I might actually move that onto the main subgroup of the bass and then I will just add it to the kick as well. So after I left the studio yesterday, I listened to it in the car and I listened to it on my headphones and I noticed some things are peaking out a bit more than other things, especially in the beginning because like the kick you can see here isn't as prominent as when it drops here. The waveform isn't as tall, which obviously means that it's not as loud. I had to get all the claps and I lowered them all by 2.5 dB. So with the hi-hats as well, they were quite piercing. So I actually duplicated those hi-hat channels and brought them down quite a lot. But yeah, you get the gist, like it's just a bit of tweaking here and there and it's really important as well to like listen on different devices. Like I said, my headphones, it sounded quite different. Actually also the atmosphere sort of low end in the beginning, it was way too panned out to the side in my headphones, so I just had to bring it in a bit. Everything wasn't just panned out wide to my ears. She just wanted me to have a look at EQing the voice just to make sure it has more of a telephone sound rather in the way that it is now. So yeah, just a few changes and we should be done. So let's have a look at how I achieved the first initial drop. I made sure that the beginning section, everything just seemed a lot louder than it needed to be, and I just wanted to make sure that this is a really good trick as well for when you want the first initial drop or even the later drop in the song. Try and make it come a little bit louder than what was before. It just hits harder. As you can see here, I already lowered the kick and I lowered some of the claps I mentioned before and the hi-hats and also some of the vocals as well. Yeah, that's basically what I did. So let's go and have a listen.
Nasty music.
Also with the sub, I felt like it needed a bit more grittiness. So if we listen to it without this plugin that I've put on here, which is Subsynth by Brainworks. And now with the plugin. It just gives it a little bit more grittiness and I feel like it helps, that plugin helps basses to sit in that haven't got as much depth. I love that plugin for basses, it's great. So one of the last things I'm looking at now is voice and just making it more of a telephone kind of sound. So we're just gonna loop this section here.
We was psychedelic out of our mind, out of our mind, out of our mind, out of our mind. Song. It was like nasty and then crazy and then psychedelic. And it totally blew my mind. Nasty and then crazy and then psychedelic. And it sounded like...
You can see that I've got the high and the low, so I've pushed the highs up a bit more. That's the more telephone sound that she's looking for. The low...
We were psychedelic out of our...
That's got more of the bottom depth, but we don't want too much of it. We just want it to sort of be there. But because I've done that now, the actual level of it in the mix is not loud enough. So I'm going to go to the subgroup and adjust accordingly.
Psychedelic, and it sounded like nasty music.
I'm again going to bounce this out, have one more listen to it on a few different platforms in my car, in my headphones, in my home, make sure that nothing peaks out, and then I will send the final version to Henny just to double check and make sure it all sounds good. One thing you can also do as well, which is more of a mastering thing, but I have the plugin levels, which is good to just show you like things like dynamic range. Dynamic range is important in mastering just because it shows you if you've squashed it too much, where there's no room for the song to actually have loud or quiet moments. Everything's just been pushed and made loud, which is not natural and can sound really squashed. So it's just, before I send it off, it's just check it out. And for now, I think I'll have one more listen.
Nasty, crazy, and psychedelic. And it sounded like nasty music. Again. Psychedelic. Nasty and crazy and psychedelic.
So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed going through the whole mixing process with you and showing you how I work. It's been a condensed video. There's some things that obviously I couldn't include because the video would probably be an hour long then. If there's any things in the video that you feel like you wish I went further into, just drop me a message below and hopefully can include those things on future videos. And for sure, if you guys need any mixes done, just drop me a message and I will get back to you. I mix all genres as well. It doesn't just have to be house, but this one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe on my videos because they really do help people to find out more about sound engineering and what it entails. I will see you all on my next Noudle Sound video.